Hi, I'm Teresa from Phoenix Gate Crafts, and today I wanted to talk to you about choosing a sweater pattern to fit. So, tell me if this has happened to you before. You find a pattern that you want to try out. It could be Marley Bird's My First Knit Sweater, it could be something from Tin Can Knits. Doesn't really matter which one. You like the look of it on the model, you like the yarn that you're supposed to use for it, or you found something that works just as well that you like better. You get the yarn, you get the pattern, you do your swatch, you get your swatch to work so you got the right needles, or crochet hook if you're doing that. This works for crochet too. And you go through the entire pattern doing everything step by step. You spend probably at least a week solid working on it, more than likely 2 to 3 months off and on. You're doing your best, you're ripping out where you need to. It's becoming a lot of work because a fitted garment is a lot of work. And the next thing you know, you're done. You get to try it on and you put it on and it doesn't fit properly. This has happened to me twice, unfortunately. 3 times. 3 times. I've made 3 sweaters for myself. I have not been happy with any of them. So, what went wrong? Was it the pattern? No, it wasn't the pattern. The pattern looked really good on the person who created the pattern. And a quick note about Tin Can Knits. This is the flax sweater. I love the texture on the sleeves. She has amazing size inclusivity, but as you can see, it doesn't quite fit properly. I look, as I'm sitting in it, it's pulling funky. I look a little chubby. Something about this isn't quite right. And actually, here's a picture of me standing and wearing it on. And here's another picture of me wearing their Mountain Mist sweater that I made when I was an extra large. This is just a regular large, and I'm still in a pretty solid large size, so this is still an appropriate fit, and it's got the proper measurements for me, but it doesn't look quite right. Just for a quick comparison, I'm going to do the magic of YouTube and change into a top that I feel does fit and makes me look really good. Oops, nope. Wrong sweater, same issue. Let's try this again. Much better. It doesn't help that I am filming on a day that was 105 degrees in the heat of the day, and although we're kind of past that right now, it's still a little too warm for sweaters. And it didn't help that I couldn't actually find the shirt that I knit that I wanted to wear. For a reference, it's the one that I wore in episode 21 where I was talking about my yarn stash. That one looks pretty good on me, and it has some design features that are very similar to this one. So, see, yes, cleavage shot, but you can see how this flatters my figure a lot more even though I'm sitting down. And at the moment, I'm going to put a standing picture of me right here, standing and wearing it, which is usually a better indication of how it looks when I'm moving around. So you'll notice that this top has a very big design feature that's different than the past 2 sweaters. So that second one was Marley's My Very First Knit sweater pattern. I'm going to link all of the patterns and things I refer to and all of the YouTubers and everybody that I refer to throughout this entire video in the description box down below. And I want you to know, I think they are all beautiful people. They look really good. They knit and design based on their body types, which does not necessarily translate to my body type because I'm in a different situation than most of them. So as you can see, I am a busty lass. I have tits. I have hips. I don't have much of a butt, but I definitely have a thinner waist than my hips or my bust measurement. In fact, I believe my current measurements, my waist is approximately 7 or 8 inches smaller than my bust or my hips measurement. And my bust and hips measurement are, within half an inch of each other. That's the definition of an hourglass figure, is where your bust and your hips are significantly larger than your waist and they measure the same. So as a result of that, somebody who looks like Tin Can Knits, and isn't she beautiful? I'm totally using her image without her permission, but this is for educational purposes, just so you can see the differences. Doesn't she dress very well for her figure? Unfortunately, as you can see from my figure, it doesn't look the same on me. And admittedly, I prefer positive ease to negative ease, so I erred on the side of slightly too big rather than going slightly too small. But it doesn't do the same thing for my figure. For one, you can see how she's got sort of a cylindrical thing going. Yes, she does have breasts that poke out of her front, but her sides don't really come in at all. She kind of comes straight down. In fact, I'm willing to bet that her bust measurement's probably only a couple of inches bigger than her waist measurement. And there's nothing wrong with that. And look, she dresses very well for her figure. But because I have such a large shelf here, I need something that makes it so that this bigness here and this smallness that is my head kind of evens it out. The way to make big things look smaller is to add vertical lines. That's why this top looks so good on me. It's because it brings my neck down longer than it actually is, kind of evening what my bust looks like from here to here. It makes it look much more proportional. Also, I don't have particularly big shoulders. In comparison with my bust measurement, my shoulders are actually a little bit smaller around than my bust. As a result, these set-in sleeves, where you actually have some sleeve structure, looks much better than that picture. Further, if I were to stand up so you could see my waist, you see how this comes in and it kind of shows off my figure a little bit. So it comes in, I am sucking in just a little bit because I am on TV and it makes me look a little chubbier. But between the pattern, cupping my breasts so you can see that the boobage is bigger here, you can actually see my hourglass figure. And you can see, well, you can't see, my waist comes out, and this cuts me right above where my hips, or right below where my leg meets my hips. This is very important to understand these proportions, because for me, with my hourglass figure, my waist is actually in the middle of my torso. So that makes my top half look shorter if I have anything that doesn't actually physically cut me in half. Again, refer to this picture. You can see that this top cuts me, same shorts as the previous picture, but the way that this cuts me, it literally makes me look like I am cut in half, even though my waist is higher up. So these are specific things I have to look at for my figure. And you're going to have to look at the same things, but in different ways. And a lot of it is determined by your personal proportions. So basically, wherever you're biggest, if you've got to decide if emphasizing it's going to make it look too big, or if doing something that's slimming to it will make it look too small in any single part of your body. For example, I have a big bust, so I have to have something with vertical lines to make it look a little bit smaller and bring it in so it looks in proportion with my shoulders, my waist, and my hips. But if you don't have much in terms of your bust at all, and you're kind of a stick, having something that goes horizontal here will make your bust look bigger and will bring your bust up and kind of appear to be out more. So you really need to look at that design element. A really quick and dirty shortcut is to pick out a top that you really like, such as this one for me, and compare it to any patterns that you want to look at. Make sure that the models in the patterns have a similar figure to yours. You know, are they a stick? Are they somebody who's top heavy? Are they somebody who's bottom heavy? Are they somebody with an hourglass figure? In fact, here is the design image for the V-back t-shirt that I have made, and here's me wearing it with the V in front. I think I look pretty good with it. I like that shirt a lot. I keep wearing it and having to wash it because it hits me exactly right. So I'm not going to give you a guide on exactly what you should be wearing because I can't do that. Every woman has a unique figure, and every woman's going to look different, especially with the changes she makes to any individual pattern. I know that if you've got an hourglass figure, though, the V-back tee is going to look really good on you. And even if you don't have an hourglass figure, you know, the fact that you can actually put the V in the back and have a swoop neck in the front will probably, you know, if the V doesn't look good, the swoop neck might. There are things you need to look at in the construction. Usually the image will show these things off a little bit in a pattern. So definitely look at the neckline. Make sure that it comes to the appropriate spot that you would think would look good on you. Not the model, ignore the model. But for me, I can't wear anything with a neck that's higher than here, ideally with a little bit lower cut. I look best with inset sleeves, though I can do a raglan. Raglans don't typically show off my shapely arms. I also can't have sleeves that are too tight. Like this one looks tight, but it stretches. And my sleeves, I prefer a closer fit up in my armpit. By the way, if you've ever had a sweater and you go like this, and the sweater doesn't come back down, that means the armpits are too low. You need a higher armpit at that point. And if you really have trouble, maybe consider an armpit dart to make more fabric there. So if you have to raise your hand, there's something there that can be there because this elongates this section of your arm. Fortunately, this is just stretching material and I don't really have to worry about any of that. Also make sure that your sleeve comes to the proper length. As you can see, most of my sleeves kind of come to about a 3/4 sleeve. Looks really good on me because I'm a short person, so things that make me look longer tend to be flattering. Another thing that tends to look good on me is if I have a sleeve that overshoots my wrist, and that'll make my arm look longer because where it cuts, you know, this makes my arm look like my arm comes to here, even though my wrist actually comes to here. So if you've got really good length sleeves, you know, to the wrist might work for you. You might prefer a little longer, you might prefer a little shorter. All of these are fine, and the cool thing with sleeves is usually, especially if you're doing top-down sleeves, you can just stop kind of wherever. And as long as that works for you and you've got long enough of a cuff so that it doesn't roll up or anything if it's not supposed to, you'll be fine. Sleeves are the easy part. So is torso length. So make sure that wherever your sweater ends is your midpoint. So something that makes you look evenly measured between your top and your bottom half. It should cut you pretty much in half. I mean, it's one thing to be doing something that's actually intentionally cut kind of short. That is a style, crop tops and everything. Yeah, if you wind up with something that's cropped about here, it doesn't really look cropped. It's just going to make you look a little wider at this point and shorter in your top half. But if you crop it right here, it'll actually look cropped, and you'll still have something coming out that's going to continue that line to more appropriately silhouette your figure. Another thing to consider is waist shaping. So this top has waist shaping. It shows off my hourglass figure. If you don't have a waist that comes in, you're not going to want waist shaping nearly as much as I do. I have a pretty distinct size difference between my breasts and my belly. So I need waist shaping, because if I have something, going back to this image, you see how it just kind of comes down from my boobs. That gives the illusion that there's more tummy there than there actually is. It's one thing if you actually have tummy under there. As I don't, it actually makes me look chubbier than I am. Combined with the slightly higher neckline, and the horizontal angles, the whole effect is chubbier. And admittedly, I have lost a few pounds. Nope, sorry. I lied. I took that picture 10 minutes ago. I haven't lost a single pound since then. Anyway, I wish I had lost a few pounds in 5 minutes, but I haven't. Or 15 or whatever. So, anyway, all joking aside, and sorry, I'm tired, bad sense of humor. I haven't lost any weight, but yet it looks like I have lost a good 10 or 15 pounds. I'm wearing the same makeup. This was just taken a little bit earlier, and the cut is just not right for me. So making sure these design elements are good for your figure, and taking them out of context is probably the hardest part. So realizing certain things that you like all of your best garments to have. There are ways to alter patterns. This is very complex. You can wind up making breast darts. If that applies, there's some books that I can recommend. There's one I'm reading now that's enlightening. I'm going to put the name of that right here because I can't remember it at the moment. My best recommendation for you is to pull a top out of your closet, and it doesn't matter if it's long sleeve or short sleeve. You can figure that out with a different top, but at least look at the torso design. Look at the neck, the arm shaping, the waist, and the length, and choose a pattern with very similar design elements. That way you don't have to alter nearly as much. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Good luck choosing your next pattern. I hope it's a great success. See you next time.